from MIT, the first session of the course, blockchain course of the MIT, in which some historical topics were discussed. I hope you have watched the video because some useful information about the historical of cryptocurrencies, about the digital currencies were introduced in that video. Okay. As you can remember, we have a very short introduction to the structure of the blockchain. A blockchain is a consequenting some blocks after each other. Each block contains some transactions. Each block contains some transaction. And also, each new block at the end of the chain is added by a node which is called miner. We will discuss all these concepts in detail in next lectures. But for now, each block is added at the end of the blockchain by a node called miner. A miner should solve a puzzle to be able to add the block at the end of the blockchain. Solving this puzzle is called proof of work. Proof of work. Okay, so in this lecture, at first, I'm talking about transactions, then ledger. I will talk about ledger, what's a ledger, and finally, proof of work. And today, I just talk about these three concepts, okay? And in the next lectures, we will talk about hashing and cryptographic hash functions, digital signatures, and the like. Okay, let's go. What's a transaction? In the real world, we all keep our money in the banks, okay? When we spend some money in this course, we have 2 or 3 characters: Alice, Bob, and Eve, okay? Alice, Bob, and another person called Eve. Suppose that Alice wants to send some money, for example, $2 to Bob. Okay? This is called a transaction, financial transaction. Okay? So, in real life, how Alice can send $2 to Bob? Okay, Alice can give $2 in cash to Bob, but this case is happen when Alice can see the Bob. If Alice is here in Iran and Bob is, for example, in Iraq, how Alice can send $2 to Bob? One option is sending by post. It's not reliable, it's not so fast. Another usual case is Alice sends a check to Bob. Okay? Sends a check to Bob, and then Bob goes to the bank. The banker checks that the holder is really Alice, in fact, the authentication, and then check the receiver, Bob is the right person, and then transfers the money. It means that the balance of the Alice will be decreased by $2, and the balance of Bob's account will be incremented by $2. Okay, I know you all know this, but what about cryptocurrencies? What about Bitcoin? As you know, the first and the most famous cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. After Bitcoin, we have Ethereum. Okay. Let's talk about how transactions are in Bitcoin and in your information. Is it? Do you have sound? Is it okay now? Is it okay now? Okay. I said in real life, you all have account in banks. Okay. In banks, your real identities like your name, your national ID, and some other information are kept. But in cryptocurrencies, there is nothing about personality. No names, no ID, nothing. Okay? Just an address. For Ethereum, a balance. Your accounts in banks also has a property called balance. Shows that how much money you have in your account. In Ethereum, each account only has two properties. Only two properties. One is the address of a wallet, and the other is balance. How much Ethereum you have. But in Bitcoin, it's different. It's important, please note. In Bitcoin, each account has an address along some information about input transactions or unspent transactions and output transactions. Okay, maybe you say, do we have the balances for accounts? No, we don't have. In Bitcoin, for each account, in fact, for each wallet address wallet, we have which transactions sent money to this address and which transactions were spent from this address. For example, suppose that this is Alice. Okay. Suppose that Alice receives, I don't know, 2 Bitcoin from one person by this transaction and 5 Bitcoins from another transaction. Okay. Now the balance is 7, but the balance are not kept. If Alice wants to spend money, she must say that I want to spend this incoming transaction. I want to spend 2. Maybe, for example, he wants to send 1 Bitcoin to Bob. Okay? To do so, she must create a transaction, say that the original money is this transaction. After that, she must say that she wants to send 1 Bitcoin to Bob, and what will happen to the remainder? And again, she must says that I want to send 1 Bitcoin to myself. And by this, the system, it seems that the system will eliminate this transaction, this input transaction. So we have 2 new transactions now. One by which the first transaction by which 1 Bitcoin is sending to the Bob, and the second transactions that by which Alice sends the reminder 1 Bitcoin to herself. Okay. In fact, in the Bitcoin, transactions are managed like this. We will discuss in details in the next topic. Just a very brief introduction. Okay. In cryptocurrencies, the transactions are the most important part of the cryptocurrencies. As I said, in each transaction has a sender and a receiver and an amount. How much, for example, Bitcoin do you want to send? How we should characterize the sender and the receiver just by an address. In next topics, I will talk about how these addresses will be generated, and I will give you the programs, Python programs, to generate different addresses with different standards. Okay. The network of the cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, are a peer-to-peer network, something like this. These are the nodes persons who are connected together to send and receive the cryptocurrencies. This is the, for example, suppose that something like this is the network of the Bitcoin, okay? Some nodes just sends and receive Bitcoins. Some others create blocks, which are called miner. As I said, in the blockchain, all transactions should be kept into the blocks. Okay? If it's a blockchain, transactions, in Bitcoin, I think roughly 200 transactions are kept into a block. Okay? Please note, each node in the network have a copy of the complete blockchain, all the blocks. So all these nodes of the network, by the network I mean Bitcoin networks, all the nodes should have a copy of the blockchain. Now, suppose that Bob is here, okay, and Alice is here. Suppose that Bob wants to send 1 Bitcoin to Alice. Using a software, Bob creates a transactions, and by that software, he chooses his address, Alice's address, and the amount, create the transaction, and multicast it to the network. These nodes receive the transactions, at first check that everything is okay, and if it's a sound transactions, propagate that transactions to the network. Some of these nodes are miners who will put that transactions into a block and put a block at the end of the blockchain. Okay? And in this course, I will talk about the details of how to generate a transaction. Each transaction contains which information, how the security of the blockchain of the transactions will be provided by the network, how the network verify the transactions, verify the sender, how the network checks that the sender has enough money, how the network checks that the sender doesn't double spend the money. In the next, in the previous session, I talked about double spending. Okay? We will discuss all these topics in details. Of a person to create an account on the blockchain. Nothing. It's a very good question. What's required of a person? What's required for a person to create an account on the blockchain? At first, let me explain. At first, you should tell me which blockchain you mean. Bitcoin, Ethereum, okay? So let's suppose that we want to create an account in the Bitcoin. It's very easy. Now you can search through Google Bitcoin Core Client. Let me type Bitcoin core client. Okay, you can simply search this, and then you can download the core client simply, and please note, we don't talk about just Bitcoin. I can show you, but I think it's not important. The technology for us, the technology is important. Let me share some photos. Okay, can you see this picture? Okay. Please note, I didn't have Bitcoin Core installed on my laptop, but in another place I installed the Bitcoin Core. For installing Bitcoin Core, you should have enough space. I think at least 500 gigabyte. At least 500 gigabyte, because this software after installation tries to download all the blockchain. As I said, all the nodes of the network which install the Bitcoin Core at first must have all the blocks. So you should have a proper internet connection by which the Bitcoin Core download the blockchain. After downloading was finished, this is the interface of the Bitcoin Core. Okay, as you can see, my balance is zero, not $0, 0 Bitcoin. This software just knows the Bitcoin, not dollar, not dinar, not real. Okay? Yeah, 500 gigabyte hard disk, because the blockchain will be downloaded as some files. Okay? Each block is saved by a file. Okay. By this software you can create a wallet address. Let me show you another picture. Okay, in this picture you can see my peers. As I said in the previous lecture, the blockchain network is a peer-to-peer network. It means that each client will be connected to some other computers. In my case, I was connected to 10 peers. As you can see, here is their IPs, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exactly 10 nodes. And by these 10 nodes, my core client received all the information from the network. For example, newly created transactions, newly created blocks, everything, okay? And let's show you another picture. Okay. When you are trying to install the Bitcoin Core, as I said, you will see something like this. You can do anything. You can do anything before downloading all the blocks. See this figure? 12 days. 12 days for me. With a good speed network, it took long 12 days to download all the blocks. It's a huge amount of data. It's a huge number of data, and all the blocks must be downloaded. And when downloaded, you can, I think in the setting, you can create an address for yourself just by clicking a button, okay? And also you can send or receive Bitcoin. For the first time, you should buy Bitcoin from a friend or Bitcoin finance, for example, and you should keep your password a safe place. If you forgot the password, it will take long time. As I said, by very fast internet, for me it took 12 days for downloading all the blocks. However, after buying Bitcoin, when you receive transactions, you can create by this Bitcoin Core transactions, but this software is just a client, okay? For miners, there are some other programs, there are some special hardwares and softwares that is not using, it's impossible mining with current computers. Ethereum has also something like this. For the Ethereum also, you can download the Ethereum Core client. Even you can download the Ethereum mining program. To do so, for the Ethereum, you should have a graphical powerful card, I think with at least 8 GB RAM. Okay? If you have a laptop which has a powerful graphical card which has at least 8 GB, so you can join to a pool by the program. You can simply find the program from the internet. But I think it's not feasible to mine with the computer. As you know, the electricity, lots of electricity will be consumed. Also, your laptop, CPU and other instruments will be heated too much. Okay. Let's watch a video about transactions. As I said in the previous lecture, I will use some videos from MIT University and also from University of London. Let's watch a video, a short video about transactions from University of London by Dr. Zimmer. Okay. Let me share the. Okay. Just a second to activate the subtitle.
start by talking about financial transactions.
Okay, I'm playing the video. If you have some problems with listening or the voice is not so clear, don't worry. The video has subtitle. Okay, so follow the subtitle of the video, and it's just, I think, 8 minutes, and after that we will talk about the materials that he's talking about. Okay?
Financial transactions is the backbone of this model.
He's talking about the transactions in blockchain.
We can safely have financial transactions in a different way from the usual way. And that's what cryptocurrencies are all about. So we're going to learn first. I'm going to talk very, very, very briefly about how financial transactions work in the non-crypto world. Then we'll talk about how they work in the crypto world. We're going to talk about financial transactions. This is Bob. Okay? Right. Now, we're starting to think like cryptographers. Cryptographers always talk about 3 figures, really, and one of them is Bob. Okay? Another one is Alice. This is Alice. Well, you can see they look very similar. Alice in the crypto world send messages to each other. In the world we're talking about, they're going to have financial transactions. They're going to send money to each other. So Alice wants to send Bob £5. Okay, how could she do that? Well, she could hand him a £5 note. That would do it, but she has to be in the same place to do that. She could send him a £5 note in the post. That would do it too, but it doesn't feel all that safe, and it's not that quick. She can say, "Hi, Alice, give you Bob £5." That's safer, but it's no quicker, and worse than that, it actually doesn't do anything. I was sending him a letter saying that for that to actually have any effect, we need somebody else to be involved, at least one other person to be involved, one other institution to be involved. Banker. Yeah, okay, that's the banker. Do we trust this man? Doesn't actually look all that trustworthy in that picture, I must say. Do we trust this man? Well, we may do. Alice sends. Let's see how using this banker or bankers will check his bank. His banker checks that this is Bob. That's one of the things. This is Bob. I will buy. Then the banker says, I don't know anything.
The technology solves all the problems. Let's continue.
This transaction. done, the money's moved. How much money Alice has. Okay, so that's how it works. But what trust in banks were at an all-time low. I mean, that may not be all-time low, but it certainly was low. And along comes Satoshi Nakamoto. Yeah.
In fact, Satoshi Nakamoto, who invented the Bitcoin, comes when the bankruptcy was occurring, okay? And he suggests that using a cryptocurrency called Bitcoin, which doesn't need to trust anybody. In fact, as you can see, Bitcoin trusts the crowds and trusts the cryptography, okay?
Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? You are not the first people to ask this question. Nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is, or very few people know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. But Satoshi Nakamoto wrote what's now called the white paper, which is this one, which is the one down here called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. That's what it's called. And it says the author's name is Satoshi Nakamoto. And nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Satoshi Nakamoto, we believe, has 1 million Bitcoins, though. And as I'm writing, as I'm speaking to you, a Bitcoin's worth £30,000 plus something. So having 1 million of them is giving him quite a lot of money. Or him, or it, we don't know. It might be a lot of people, might be a woman, might be a man. Don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. We would know something if some of that initial 1 million Bitcoins got spent, but they haven't been. More on that later. But we're going to go through the abstract of the white paper in the next lecture. Meanwhile, the whole idea here is to get rid of bankers, not to trust bankers, but to trust instead crowds. Now, that's not to trust any individuals in the crowd. There's no trust of individuals. There's a trust in just everybody's commonly having working towards the same thing, rather than each other and watching each other. No trust in individuals. And cryptography and computing systems and cryptography. So what we're going to learn about, we're going to talk about how this system works with trusting crowds and the cryptography that makes it work. The blockchain is the way of organizing the data, which is mostly transaction, so I guess it's all transaction data, in a way that is trustworthy, completely trustworthy, without relying on the trust of any trusted authoritative figure. The trust comes from the structure, from the cryptographic constructs on it, and from the fact that everybody has sight of everything. So unless somebody was going on, they wouldn't be able to pull the wool over everybody else's eyes. So we'll get to that. We'll look at the abstract, and then I'll take you through, over the next couple of topics, all the things that are in the abstract. You won't understand the abstract, I'm sure you know this stuff when I do it, but it will raise all our questions that we will answer one by one. Okay, that's it for now. See you at the abstract.
Okay. Until now, nobody knows anything about Satoshi. If you have a good... at first, about the question about this Satoshi, we don't know who is him, because he just wrote a white paper and run the first version of the Bitcoin, and after that he disappeared. He didn't want to be known, okay? So I don't know, maybe a group of people, I guess, invented the Bitcoin, and now they have a lot of money, lots of money, okay? The reason is that they didn't want the other know them. About the videos. These videos, to be honest, I don't have permission to share them. I will use them because I'm working with the London University, and in the previous semester I was the tutor of the blockchain course in the University of London, okay? So I can use these videos in my class, but I can't share them. However, I will share the recordings of these sessions. So it's like that you have access the videos with the subtitles, okay? So don't worry. I will share these recordings with you, and using these recordings you can access to the videos. Oh, okay. As I said, the transactions are the most important data in any cryptocurrency. These transactions are recorded into the blocks, okay? Don't share these videos through the YouTube. Use yourself. Please don't share them through the YouTube. What's the difference between Bitcoin and transactions? It's a question like that. I think your currency is dinar in Iraq, yeah? What's your currency in Iraq? Dinar? Okay, your question is like that. If I ask, what's different between dinar and between transactions? For example, you send some dinars to your friend. It's a transaction. Okay? What is the currency? The currency is dinar. And now, Bitcoin is like a currency, a cryptocurrency. Okay? It's said cryptocurrency. Why crypto? Because all these digital monies are using cryptography for their safety, okay? So the Bitcoin is the currency, is the cryptocurrency, and transactions are transferring some money, the currency again, the currency is Bitcoin, between different users, okay? So transactions are transferring some Bitcoins or Ethereum or there are lots of cryptocurrencies today. I think more than 100 or maybe 1,000, I don't know. There are many cryptocurrencies. And in all these currencies, the most important part is transactions. By transaction, for example, I want to buy, for example, a car. For example, I give the money by Bitcoin. So I create a transaction, transfer the Bitcoin to the owner of the car, and it's a transaction. And using these transactions, for example, I buy a car. Okay. By the government, Bitcoin maybe is illegal. It's not, at least we can say Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency is not a formal currency accepted by the government. But please note, Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies are invented to be independent from government. So government cannot control them. As you saw in the video, he said Satoshi Nakamoto invented the Bitcoin when we had a bankruptcy, bank crisis. Okay. So even though the governments are against the cryptocurrencies, they can't do anything. For example, I think maybe you hear the news that China, I think it was 1 month ago, China government said that in China it's illegal using different cryptocurrencies. But who cares? Who knows that I have or I have not cryptocurrency? In Iran, it's also forbidden, but who knows that you have Bitcoin or not? Because your real identity is hidden. Just an address. And address is something like this. Please let me to show you an address. Just a second. Just a second, please, to find a valid address and share with you. Okay? A valid address is something like this. And that's it. Nothing more. You don't have any name, you don't have any ID. Let's check the Bitcoin Explorer site. Okay. Yeah. In the next topics, we will talk about how to generate addresses. In fact, when you create an account, you have a private key and public key. Hashing of the public key will be your address. I will talk about them with details, and I will give you the Python programs that simply you can run and generate these addresses. See Ethereum Explorer. Let's share. Okay. This is the Ethereum Blockchain Explorer. Okay. Here are the latest blocks. Each block, as I said, has some transactions. And also here, this part. Can you see this part? This part are transactions. Newly created transactions. Okay, this part. This part is the transactions. Let's click and open one of them. Okay, this is transactions. Who is the sender? This is the ID of transactions. Later I will discuss them in detail how to create the transaction hash. Okay. This is the sender. This is the address of the sender. Okay. This is the address of the sender. And who is the receiver? Receiver. This is the receiver. Okay. This is the address of receiver. Okay. So this is the sender, this is the receiver, and the other information like how much Ethereum was transferred by this transaction. Token transferred, you can see here, token transferred. But there is nothing about the names, the identities. Who is the person? Who is the person who has created the transactions? We don't know. The government also doesn't know. So this is why I say everything is hashed. Everything is secured by the cryptography. Okay, so not only me, but also government, but also you. We all don't know who is the real person behind these addresses. Okay. In this topic, we will talk about all the details, how to create transactions. For creating transactions, we need to know what is cryptography, what is cryptographical hash functions. Okay. Cryptocurrency is a general term. It's a general term like Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, Dash is a cryptocurrency, Shiba is a cryptocurrency. Okay, all these cryptocurrencies, in all these cryptocurrencies we have transactions. All these cryptocurrencies have a blockchain. Okay, I will talk about them in details. Don't be in a rush, just wait. I will talk about all these concepts. Okay, I think for today it's enough. Tomorrow I will for the tomorrow I will record the video using this system, and I will tell you when. So if you like and if you can be online. I will record and like a online session, but if you can't, don't worry, I will share the videos. So for tomorrow, I don't know when, maybe in the evening, maybe tomorrow 8 or 9 p.m. okay? When I wanted to start recordings, I will tell you using the Telegram group. If you like, you can attend to the recording session, but if you don't, it's not important. I will share the recordings for the next session. You want to, if about the time, I changed the time because most of you asked to change the time, but if you want to change the day, all of you must be agree on a day, or at least 2 or 3 days that I check. Most of the days I have different classes, okay? So if all you have a commitment on a special day, you can tell me. If I can, certainly I will change the day. It's not very difficult, okay? But you all must have a commitment, okay? So it's possible you can talk about that with each other, and when you finalize it between yourself, you can share the day with me, and I will try. If I don't have any predefined class at that day, I will change the day, the time. It's okay. Okay, that's it for today. See you in next lecture. Good night.